guys, it's me Caiden. Welcome back to another video. I've been using the iPhone XR for a year now, and within that year I've had an elegant experience. Today I'll be explaining why the iPhone XR is the go-to phone whether you're upgrading from an older iPhone or switching to an iPhone. Everything I talk about today is from an average consumer's perspective, which means I'm an average consumer because I don't have experience with other phones like some tech reviewers might. They always get their hands on with tons of different phones every year. This is the only phone I've been using this year. I haven't had any hands on with any other phones. Well, I have had hands on, but I never got to experience it myself from day-to-day life. So that also means I don't have like high standards, high expectations on phones, for example, like an OLED display, high refresh rate, high pixel resolution, all these things like multiple cameras, for example, as well. I don't have any of those expectations because I've never had experience with those. I'm coming from an iPhone 6s and I upgraded a year ago now, basically a year ago. So this is why I'm making this video. So I did have the choice to upgrade to an iPhone 11, but I didn't get it and I'm happy with that choice, and I'll explain why at the end of the video. So let's start off with the design. It's very simplistic, as you can see. It's got a thick and heavy body with an aluminium frame. It's got the volume and side buttons, quite a large single camera bump, and glass back. About the glass back. Yeah, I have cracked mine, and you are going to have to deal with that B-roll footage with the cracked back. I've been using the case up until recently. I started using my case less, and then I just completely don't hold my phone with a case on it anymore, and it feels premium. I'll tell you that, it feels much more premium than with a case, which is why I made the decision. But there comes a cost, and if you drop your phone, it's a high risk, especially with the glass back. It's only twice I dropped my phone. Twice without a case I dropped my phone, and they've both been on hard tiles. So that being said, this phone is very slippery because, as you'd expect, the glass around the sides and the aluminium framing also helps that slipperiness, unfortunately. Stainless steel is much more grippy, and unfortunately this just isn't as grippy as that. So there are a few dents in the aluminium, but it really isn't noticeable with day-to-day usage, and that is easily solvable with a case. Now onto that display. It is a 6.1 inch 1792 by 828 60Hz LCD display at 326 pixels per inch. Now I don't care about the low resolution that some tech reviewers may say it has, the refresh rate and the LCD panel. The tech community have basically set high standards, so as an average consumer I'm really not bothered by it. I don't have these high standards for a phone because I don't have experience with phones that have set high standards. It has 120Hz touch sensing, which creates a smooth experience. So for example, with that new gesture system, which I'll come on to in a bit, it's definitely helped out with feeling really seamless with everything I do on the phone. The bezels are larger than more premium models, but like I said, it doesn't matter. It's not noticeable when you're immersed more into the experience, and the display can get really bright. It can be seen easy under sunlight. The viewing angles also are helpful with that. It has very vibrant colours. It also has tap to wake because there's no home button that you can click to turn on the screen. No 3D touch. I miss 3D touch. I did not expect it to have such a big impact on me, but it does. We've got a haptic touch, which basically means a long press, which kind of like buzzes and simulates 3D touch, but it's not the same thing. 3D touch, I really do miss it because everything's much quicker with it. It was so unique within a smartphone, but unfortunately Apple did get rid of it, and it's no longer available within the iPhone 11 series, so it's gone basically forever. You're never going to see it in an iPhone again. By the way, my bird is talking in the background. I will mention something about the display. It's perfect, but there's just something, I don't know if it's whether it's just my phone or some other people may have had this experience. There's a little black / faded out corner on the bottom left of my screen. I don't know if that's an issue. I'd hope to believe so. I don't think that's on everyone else's phone because it doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. You can't really see it most of the time when you're... It depends what's on your screen. You can see it sometimes. If it's on bright white, then you can't really see it. Maybe it's in like darker areas, sometimes you'll be able to notice it. It's just this little rounded corner that's just faded out a little bit. I don't know if that's been there since the first time I got the phone, but it's definitely there. But I really don't notice it on day-to-day usage. I've been through 2 screen protectors so far. I might make that 3 just for the viewing pleasure, because there is a massive crack in my screen protector right now. So that means that my screen isn't scratched at all. Apart from the notch, the top notch is actually, there's a few scratches on it, but it really doesn't matter because you're not really going to look up there anyways. There's nothing there to see. But speaking of that notch, the notch holds the true depth sensors for Face ID security. So let's move on to usage now. Face Unlock is fast and improved over updates, but Touch ID is still faster generally. But on a realistically, Face ID is much more efficient because Touch ID prompts you to put your thumb or finger on the home button, whereas Face ID just requires a glance, and it's much easier rather than it just requires less effort basically. The only issue with Face ID being a little bit less efficient is the whole situation going on right now where you have to wear face masks everywhere. So it's been an issue when I'm at the till. I have to put down my passcode every time, but it really doesn't matter because Apple did release an update where it detects if you're wearing a face mask and it'll quickly bring up the passcode screen where usually you'd have to wait for it. So glad they updated that. Now of course with the new screen comes a new gesture system, which there was a learning curve to, but it literally only took like a week before I really got into it because I really did learn about how to use the phone before I actually got it. And it was a really seamless experience switching from a home button to no home button basically. I did have to learn how to screenshot again, you know, getting the control center from the top right, swiping up and getting the app switcher. It was really easy and simple to learn. I got used to it within the first week, like I said. Speakers are great. It's got an amplified earpiece and bottom firing speaker. The bass sounds clear and it's great for left and right stereo sound when you're watching videos in horizontal. It sounds great. The battery life is actually outstanding. That was before quarantine. Yeah, if quarantine wasn't here, the battery life would be amazing and it wouldn't have degraded as much as it has. Currently it is on 92% capacity on battery health, but if quarantine wasn't here, I'm sure it would still be a really high percentage, maybe like 99 or something, because I wouldn't use my phone as much as I did during lockdown. So it's unfortunate that happened, but it is what it is. You got to put up with it in life. Battery life on a daily is really good, like I would say really good. Most recently, of course, like I said, because it's been degraded even more than it should, it has ran down lower than usual. But before quarantine, the battery would get me through a really good day's worth and end the day on, I don't know, maybe like 40 or 30%. And nowadays, I always charge my phone before I go out, so just gotta be wary of that. If you're out all day, then you may end your day on maybe, I don't know, 20 to 10%, because it really does run down quicker than it usually does. The iPhone XR has an A12 Bionic chip, which contributes to faster loading times. The 3GB of RAM makes most apps stay open for quick relaunches if I need to. And that A12 Bionic chip also helps the camera, so let's move on to the camera. It's great. It's got a 12 megapixel single lens, simple and usable. The single lens has a 1.8 aperture with a really nice bokeh background blur when you get close up to subjects. It can take high quality photos. Smart HDR works really well. When I say really well, the bright areas, like for example the sky, if you're taking a photo of the sky, it doesn't blow it out. It manages to keep the brightness dimmed on the sky whilst keeping the brightness high on the lower levels of the picture. So I'm really happy with that. Night shots are noisy, but they are automatically brightened up regardless of no night mode as seen on the iPhone 11 series, so it doesn't really matter too much. Regardless of no second lens, the iPhone XR can take portrait photos, and it's got this more this wider angle rather than this like using only the telephoto camera like the iPhone 10 and 10s do. It does it really well, but there's a catch. It only works on human subjects. So it does find edges well, but that actually varies on lighting most of the time. Usually in sunlight, it really does capture the edges really well and doesn't like blur it out. But in darker areas, sometimes it might blur out the subject a little bit and misalign it sometimes. And the portrait blur is adjustable, which is really good. Now, don't even get me started on the video. It is top of the range, and we know this already. Apple has always kept this reputation of having really good and really high quality video. Image stabilization is top tier with up to 1080p and 60 frames per second. It's when you get to 4K or 4K and 60 FPS, it's less stabilized, but really still good. You can't complain, it's on a mobile phone, so. Stereo microphones work flawlessly, it captures left and right sound very accurately. Here I am on the left side of the phone. Well, from my side, it's probably the right side for the video. And here I am on the left side for the video. And what do I tell you? It captures audio flawlessly. It sounds like you're actually in the room. It's over exaggerating, actually. That front-facing camera, it has been upgraded. So front-facing camera is a 7 megapixel with an aperture of 2.2. It also does have smart HDR, which works with photos. It also does have image stabilization, and it also has portrait mode and works with objects, which is slightly confusing, but it does it. You can record videos on it up to 1080p and 60 frames per second. The iPhone 11 can do up to 4K and 60 frames per second, but I don't think that matters too much. When you're really going to record a 4K video with the front-facing camera, let's be real here. And of course, with the brand new camera, you can use an emoji, which is just basically like a straight iPhone 10 or 11 flex. Just going like, yeah, I have an iPhone 10, I'll send you an emoji, you can't do this, in your face. Another iPhone 10 flex is the ringtone you can only get with iPhone 10s and 11s. Yeah, that one. And you bet I've been using that. So, overall, there's no reason not to buy this if you're an average person who doesn't have a high standard, like someone who's really into things like an OLED display, high resolution refresh rate, multiple cameras, stronger stainless steel border, all that kind of stuff. Apple is still selling this phone themselves for a starting price of £629, which is, I'm pretty sure it's more than £100 cheaper than the starting price of the iPhone 11. Even better, you can get it cheaper from other retailers. The only crucial thing you're really missing out on compared to the iPhone 11 is the ultra-wide camera. And that's about it. No, I'm not even kidding, that's literally about it. That's the only difference. You're spending £100 for, yeah, you got, I don't know, the A13 Bionic chip compared to the A12 Bionic chip. But realistically, the only difference is that ultra-wide camera. And then these tiny little features that you get with the iPhone 11, but it's really not worth the extra £100, I'm telling you right now. Like the amount of times I've asked an iPhone 11 user, how many times have you actually used that ultra-wide camera? It's basically never. And personal preference right here, I think the iPhone XR looks better than the iPhone 11 in ways, for example, the color range that the iPhone XR has. Sorry, the focus just... The iPhone XR has a better color range because they're really vibrant, way more vibrant than the iPhone 11. Have you seen how washed out colors are? Other than that, the ugly camera box on the iPhone 11 is unnecessary compared to this single lens and this single flash. And like I said earlier, it's easier. It is the go-to phone for Android users to switch over to iPhone because, as some of you may know, iOS 14 is coming out later this year. And with iOS 14 comes the app drawer, widgets, customizable default apps, and that just makes it way easier for an Android user who already has those features to switch over to an iPhone now that they've also got the features on our side. So that's it. It was really simple. You should buy the iPhone XR. It's the go-to phone. If not, you can get the iPhone SE, which is way cheaper. But what are you missing out on that? Features on this definitely outweigh the iPhone SE. For extra £200 as a starting price, I'd say it's worth it. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you do leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want more content like this. You're not going to see another one of these videos for a while because I gotta wait for the next upgrade now, and that's going to be a while because I smashed this and now I've got to get my own phone. Yeah, regardless, stay tuned for the content and I shall see you in the next video, hopefully. See ya.